Alrighty then. Actually, I don't need these right now. Take them off, save my ears. Okay, so I'm going to try to speed run this a little bit because unfortunately my, things just kind of blew up a bit today. So I am running behind and I have something else I have to attend to later. Well, don't have to. It's a fun thing. I'm going to be gaming with some friends. So let us take a look. So obviously part of the news today is we're getting all kinds of stuff for Age of Sigmar. I am not going to be doing the Age of Sigmar stuff, just as I didn't do the Regiments of Renown that came out for them. I will leave that to people who actually follow Age of Sigmar much more closely than I do. I basically only watch Warhammer Weekly as far as competitive Age of Sigmar is concerned. So I find that it's near impossible to cover both 40k competitive and Age of Sigmar competitive and have time to do any other hobbies, including actually like hobbying and painting 40k. So, all right, today my GSC, get a wish upon the Star Children. If there's one faction that knows how to count down to an event, it's the Gene Stealer cults. For today's Grotmas calendar, it's the long-awaited final day. Every Gene Stealer cultist longs to witness the arrival of the Star Children, and then ascend to join them in the Blessed Oneness. This will be a transcendent experience, a sublime reward for their devotion, or so they believe. The reality is altogether more hideous. As the Tyranid approach, the utterly alien hive mind assimilates the more nuanced brood mind of the cult. Many of the faithful die from the psionic shock, while others are freed from tyrannic mind control, and only to go mad with horror as the truth is revealed. The rest become short-lived puppets for the first wave of Tyranid vanguard organisms descending on the world. Exerting its will to make them fight harder and move faster, the hive mind swiftly burns out those who survive, harvesting each flicker of bioengineer energy to reinvigorate its more valuable organisms. Oh god, guys, are we getting Tyranid allies in this? Is that what this detachment is? Are we getting like Tyranid vanguard? Now, that doesn't sound like good news for the Gene Stealer cults. We'll grant you, nor very Grotmas at all. You might feel better about the whole affair, however, when you discover how the psionic paradisism detachment rule works. Yes, you may include Tyranid vanguard units in their army, and your cultists earn +1 to hit when selecting targets within 6 inches of these organisms. The Tyranids can also get +1 to hit and heal a few lost wounds for the low price of some cultist biomatter, perhaps with a dollop of cranberry sauce. The definitely justified devotion of the cultists towards these star gods is represented by enhancements such as Inhuman Integration, which grants cultist units weapon sustain hits 1, and by stratagems such as Avenge the Star Children. When a Tyranid character is slain, Gene Stealer cultists get +1 to hit and to wound against whoever dared raise a hand to their long-awaited saviors. And what's more Grotmas than the feudal vengeance almost immediately before being digested once and for all? We're back on familiar Grotmas ground tomorrow, plump cherubs and their Adepta Sororitas allies. Alright, so elephant in the room for both of these factions. Both GSC and Sisters got massive nerfs. I haven't finished processing all of the GSC stuff yet, but I have finished Sisters, and Sisters look like they are in rough shape. They're basically getting half the miracle dice they were getting before. Like, obviously, like you can get more, like if you still play certain units, but their miracle dice generation has been just significantly nerfed. You're going to need to be a lot more discerning and careful with how you trade with Sisters now if you're going to have any success. And I honestly cannot see them as being an even B-tier faction when the dust settles. And GSC, again, I haven't finished it, but my initial interpretation of what's going on is, well, you have much more control now. Again, you're going to need to play very smart and very skillfully with your GSC now. Pardon me. It's gonna be rough. They're gonna take a beating. But yeah, Sister's got a triple nerf. Before reading the MFM, GSC has a double nerf at minimum. So, and there's a decent chance, knowing how high GSC was in the rankings and how GW is not very good at digging into the numbers to understand when a faction is doing well because of the player base or when a faction is doing well because it's overpowered. There is a good chance GSC will be getting the third nerf in the MFM. So, and anytime a faction gets triple nerf, it's bad news for that faction. All right, final day. Detachment rule, psionic parasitism. With each tug on the synaptic leash, the hive mind drains more of its hapless worshippers. At the end of your movement phase, for each Tyranid synapse unit from your army, you can select one friendly Genestealer cult unit, excluding Pure Strain Genestealers and Patriarch units, and one friendly Tyranid unit, each within 9 inches and visible to the synapse unit. If you do, that Genestealer cult unit from your army suffers D3+1 mortal wounds, and one model in the selected Tyranid unit regains up to that many lost wounds, and until the start of your next movement phase, each time a model in the selected Tyranid unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. So, kind of like what we saw with Chaos Knights, your Genestealer cult becomes kind of a bit of fodder for the Tyranids that they can just kind of sacrifice in order to get benefits. But this is, rather than sustained hits 1 or lethal hits, this is just a flat +1 to hit roll, which, depending on what Vanguard you're including, I would argue that sustained hits 1 or lethal hits would be better. But still, +1 hit roll is nothing to sneeze at, and you are automatically healing. So, Tyranid units from your army have the following ability. It almost like almost feels more like this is almost a Tyranid detachment than a GSC detachment, but well, I'm sure they're going to have like limitations into what we already know. It's only Vanguard. So, Catalyst Aura. So we get catalysts for GSC. Well, an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this unit. Each time a friendly Genestealer cult unit makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll. Now, notably, this is within 6 inches. GSC, of course, has their infamous ability to play, I think it's Ascension Day is the one that now has you can deploy outside of 6 inches. So this is not going to be something you're going to be able to use from Deep Strike. You're going to have to maneuver your units into range to use this. But yeah, other than that, +1 to hit at close range, and GSC is a close range army. The Star Children's blessings. You can include Tyranid Vanguard Invader units, excluding aircraft, Broodlord, and Genestealer units. You have the Patriarch, you have Pure Strain Genestealers, you do not need those. In many ways, actually, arguably the Patriarch and Pure Strains are better than Broodlords and regular Genestealers, so. The combined point cost of such units depends on your point size, and it's half. You get up to half your army as Tyranid Vanguard. And there is a lot of Tyranid Vanguard. In addition to the excluded Genestealers and Broodlords, it is Winged Tyrants, Gargoyles, Lictors, Neurolictors, of course, Death Leaper is not only like Vanguard, but he could be your Warlord in if you're running Tyranids. So basically, all Lictor unit, your Van Ryan Sleepers, everything that's a snake. So Trigons, Raveners, everything with wings, basically. Although obviously we can't take Harpies and Hive Crones, but who cares? Because Harpies, 10th edition has decided that you don't want to take aircraft, so fine. Obviously the big one is Winged Hive Tyrant. In fact, here's an enhancement right here for Winged Hive Tyrant. You can take the Winged Prime. Unfortunately, you cannot take Tyranid Warriors, so the Winged Prime can only go on its lonesome, or you can join it to gargoyles. So yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting. All right. And the thing is, the nice thing about this is that, you know, obviously they're not benefiting from your army rule. But the army rule being nerfed, this also isn't being as affected by the nerf to that army rule. And the good news is because your GSC is still being used by your army rule, you can actually like sacrifice your GSC to get benefits and then bring them back. Of course, now it's a limited number of times. All right, on to enhancements. Synaptic Augur, 15 points. Invisible psionic tendrils drift around this bioform's cranium, stabbing out to force alien demands into the fragmented hybrid minds and suck bioenergy from them in merciless drafts. Tyrannid model only. So again, this almost feels more like a Tyrannid detachment, and it kind of almost feels like it should be, seeing as how GSC is the sub-faction of Tyrannids. So each time the bearer would regain one or more lost wounds from the psionic parasitism detachment rule, it regains up to twice that number of lost wounds instead. So again, you put this on like your winged hive tyrant. If you want to, you could put it on I think Trigons are still a character, so you could put it on a Trigon. You're healing a crazy amount. I mean, that's 6 wounds a battle round. So yeah, that's going to make a lot of your characters a lot harder to take down. Unfortunately, you cannot put this on your Patriarch, and again, you can't take a Broodlord. But you're probably gonna, if you're playing this, you're probably gonna take a Winged Tyrant. So, and Rapture Damnation, 10 points. Though hollowing them out like acid, the insidious power of the hive mind blazes from their delirious fanatic and forces their enemies to recoil. Genestealer cards model only. Enemy units cannot use the Fire Overwatch stratagem to shoot at the bearer's unit. So any one of your lone ops, you would happily put this on. So you can put this on your Kelemorph. You can put this on your what's Bomber Lady called? You know what I'm talking about. You can put this on your Demolition Lady. Obviously, even though Kelemorph got nerfed, I do think Kelemorph is still a fantastic unit. So, you know, like you put this basically on any one of your lone ops and it gives them additional protection because so that they can like try to sneak through or sneak away from. Because remember, Fire Overwatch is either the beginning or end of your movement. So you can move within 12 inches of a lone op. And then if they survive, when they try to move out, you can try to fire Overwatch at them. This gives them a little bit of extra protection, and it's not that bad at 10 points. You can, of course, also put this in any other unit where you've got your character joined to something. So it's just that in many cases you will tend to see, before you would usually see GSC focus on their lone op characters because your characters don't come back when you cult ambush. Now, since you have to be more careful with your units and you have to trade more intelligently, this might become something where you want to attach this to a unit. I think we'll have to wait and see. Again, I do need to finish my GSC write up on them and fully compose my thoughts on what happened to them. But hopefully we can, there's a chance you could use this to give an entire unit, like take an Aberrant and a bunch of abominations and just charge them forward without needing to worry about Overwatch. All right, Vanguard Tyrant, 25 points. This is specifically for the Winged Hive Tyrant. So adapted by the hive mind to lead the first invasion swarms, this leader organism's bioweapons emphasize vicious shock assault and maximum bloodshed. Improved the strength and armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer by 1. So +1 strength, +1 AP. You're not getting synapse, so you really do need that +1 strength. So, and then the adding on the +1 AP. I kind of wish it was a little bit cheaper just because normally a Tyrant would have +1 strength to begin with, but they don't now. So, like, I kind of wish it was a little cheaper. But if you're taking a Tyrant, you're probably going to be trying to use them intelligently for trading and melee. You know, trying to take out specific threat targets that he's capable of bringing down. So there's a likelihood you're going to take this. But again, a part of me kind of wishes it was cheaper. At least it's +1 AP and not just +1 strength. It would be nice if there was also +1 damage on it. Inhuman integration, 20 points. This cult leader's powerful psyche has withstood hive mind integration better than most, at least for now. It even relays a crude approximation of synaptic signals to their underlings. Of course, this only makes them and their followers more selflessly obedient drones. GSC model only. Weapons sustained by models in the bearer's unit have sustained hits 1 ability while targeting an enemy unit within 6 inches of one or more friendly Tyranid units. So you're probably going to deploy your Lictors and your Von Ryle Zeepers relatively aggressively to make sure you've got control of the midboard and that your opponent can't push their own scouts or infiltrators in. They're relatively sneaky. It's relatively easy to keep a Lictor safe. So being able to get a Lictor, and especially if you're running Death Leaper, you want to get them within 6 inches for that -1 aura, especially if you're also running Neurolictors. So I'm not sure that's important. Like, Death Leaper and Neurolictors are definitely not going to be as important because this army is not going to be as reliant on Battle Shock. But yeah, so this is definitely something that you will be able to synergize and combo with, I'm pretty sure. So, and of course, almost all Vanguard organisms are melee organisms in one form or another. So being able to get them into, you're going to have them in melee. In many cases, you'll have monsters. So for example, you could be targeting a unit that you've tagged with your Winged Tyrant. And since you've got, Big Guns, never mind. Ignore what I just said, because Big Guns never tire only applies to the monster itself. So your opponent can shoot at the monster, but you can't shoot at the enemy unit that's engaging, unless there's something down there that lets you do that. However, I foresee that being more of a Tyranid models getting to shoot at enemy units tagged by Genestealer Cult models, not the other way around. Either way, you're going to be trying to line up charges, and sustain hits 1 on a unit is really good. GSC has some reliability issues, so getting the extra hits is very nice. All right, Hyperferocity. 1 CP Battle Tactic Stratagem. Goaded by the newly ascended hive mind, the cultists fight with greater fury even as their muscles tear and organs rupture under the strain. Alright, we're going to use this in our fight phase. You pick a GSC unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit, re-roll a wound roll of 1. If 1 or more friendly Tyranid units are within 6 inches of that enemy unit, you can re-roll the wound roll instead. So again, providing you're setting things up, you get re-roll wounds. Again, GSC has reliability issues, so you definitely want to be able to use this. And I'm pretty sure providing, again, you're basically going to be doing roughly half and half. So you're going to be able to set things up so you can get your Tyranids in. All right, Divine Imperative. 1 CP Battle Tactic. Cultists dash madly into fighting without a care for their survival, drawn onward to the aid the Vanguard organisms by a will they cannot resist. Use in your charge phase 1 GSC unit from your army that is not declared a charge this phase. Select 1 enemy unit with engagement range of 1 or more Tyranid units from your army until the end of the phase. Each time your Genestealer Cult unit declares a charge, if that enemy unit is one of the targets of that charge, add 1 to the charge rolls made for your unit, and you can re-roll the charge rolls. This is great. This is great. You've got You've either got your pure strain gene stealers you can use this on. You can use this on your aberrants. So it's like there's so much you can do with this. This is a really good one. And again, remember that you determine the order of selection in your charge phase. So you could charge in and tag something with a fast Tyranid unit, and then a GSC unit can come in, and you can use this out of Deep Strike. So you bring in a unit either from Cult Ambush or just Deep Strike as normal. Normally, you'd have a 9-inch charge, which is a 50-50 chance with reroll ones. Now you're going to have an 8-inch charge with rerolls. So you're going to have a lot more reliability there. A lot more reliability, a lot more consistency. All right, Psy Surge. 1 CP strategic ploy stratagem. As the Tyranid invasion gathers pace, the influence of the hive mind surges like waves, rolling ever higher onto a desolate shore. One moment. Use at the start of any phase, pick a Tyranid unit. Until the start of your next command phase, increase the range unit of your Catalyst ability by 3. Each time you use this stratagem until the end of your next command phase, you cannot use this stratagem again. So you get to use this once. Okay, so you get to use it once. Now let's go back and reread the Catalyst ability. Okay. So you get to use this once per battle round, basically. Was the battle basically, you know what I mean? Once for, your and your opponent's turns. Because obviously if you're going second, you can technically use this twice per battle round. But you know what I mean. So essentially if you messed up your positioning, now again, this is a one you keep in your pocket. Like this is one of those ones where you're not going to use this every game, but when you do need to use it, it's a nice to have. So essentially you're picking a situation where either you needed to move your GSC unit outside of Catalyst, or something has happened that has put your GSC unit outside of Catalyst. You need them to strike, you need them to be consistent, and bam, you get to do that. So you will go entire games without using this, but you will be glad of it when you have it, when you need to use it. All right, darting attacks. 1 CP strategic ploy. Like predatory sea beasts lunging from wheeling shoals of fish, the vanguard organisms strike and fade from amidst the cultist horde, repeatedly picking apart their overwhelmed prey. Use either in your shooting phase or your charge phase, and this is a Tyranid stratagem. Until the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Bam. Fall back and shoot and charge is money, so that is great. Avenge the Star Children. 1 CP. Some amongst the cultists still retain enough sentience and zeal to feel rage and the need for vengeance if they see the Star Children slain. Use in your opponent's shooting phase or any fight phase just after an enemy unit has shot or fought. You pick 1 Tyranid character unit from your army, so here's a reason to bring primes, that was destroyed by the enemy unit this phase. You can use the stratagem on that unit even though it was just destroyed. Until the end of the battle, each time a Genestealer Cult's model from your army makes an attack that targets the enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. This is assimilation swarms just +1 to wound. This is the full grudge token. You're getting the full grudge token on them. That's a grudging. So yeah, so this is great. Obviously, you don't want to ever need to use this stratagem, but your Tyranids are not very durable. Unless you're like a Tyrannifex, you're not very durable. So you're going to end up losing characters. Again, you're going to want to take at least 1 winged prime. Otherwise, why are you playing this detachment? So Eventually, they're going to kill that prime, and this lets you get a +1 to wound and a +1 to hit roll against the unit that did. Of course, the only big problem is this does not stack with Catalyst, but you're probably going to be using this as more of your units are going away. Remember, you're not bringing back your Tyranid units, you're only bringing back your Genestealer cultists. So there is a very reasonable chance that you are going to end up with more of your Genestealer cult units outside of Catalyst range as the battle progresses and as your opponent manages to take your characters out. So this is good. This is a lot of fun. Again, you never want to use it, but you will be happy when you do. Resistance tunnels, 1 CP strategic ploy. Never again will the tunnel networks of the cult provide secret roads for hopeful and idealistic freedom fighters. Yet they still serve one last time as a means by which the Tyranids and their surviving worshippers can vanish from the battlefield only to strike again elsewhere. End of your opponent's fight phase, 1 Genestealer cult or Tyranid unit from your army that is not within engagement range of one or more enemy unit. It's uppy downy. And it's for all of the units in your army. So you get to uppy down, so you can use this on Raveners, you can use this on Trigons, on Molochs. You can use this, of course, on your GSC units to put them back to get them set up for another ambush. But note, we don't have any kind of 6-inch ambush in this, so yeah. So uppy down is great. Advance and charge on half your, fallback and charge and shoot on half your units is, again, if it were all, it would be better, but like it's still good. +1 to charge rolls, situational +1 to charge rolls that you need to set up is still very good. Hyper ferocity is good. And then these are both situational. So this is a decent suite of stratagems. I would say this is probably a solidly A tier suite of stratagem, maybe as low as B tier because of the fact that you're only affecting half your army with a lot of these. But I'd say it's probably A tier. These enhancements are, I won't lie, they're a little bit closer to B tier. You've got your standard make your rule better enhancement. Blocking fire Overwatch is nice. Basically, this one is undoing the fact that you're not playing Tyranids with your Winged Tyrant, so your Winged Tyrant is naturally weaker. So that's that's again, if it were cheaper, it would be better. And then sustain hits 1. Situationally, so many other enhancements are, you just get sustain hits 1. So this is probably some B tier enhancement. And then each one of these, this is kind of like almost like a Talons of the Emperor style rule set where you really need to make sure you're coordinating your army properly. So it's going to be strong if you use it correctly, but it's not going to, it's not an overpowered by any stretch. So we're looking at a B to A tier. So this is going to be fun and fluffy. I don't think this beats out the current top dog of the GSC detachments, which I think is Ascension, is Host of Ascension. I think it's still Host of Ascension. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check. Just because you've got the one in stratagem that gives you 6-inch deep strikes. Like, even since now that stratagem has been nerfed from 3 inches to 6 inches, that's still fantastic. And that's still great for an army that's all about bringing back deep striking units and uppy downies a lot. So, like, this is definitely, I don't see this really hitting competitive tables. I do see it hitting match play. I think if you want to have fun with this in match play, you definitely can. Narratively, this is great. This is extremely fun and fluffy. Hopefully, you'll get to have a lot of fun and some narrative play with this. But that's basically where I see this mostly. Again, I could be wrong. Lord knows I've been wrong in the past about a lot of this stuff. But my initial read on this is that this is not going to be better than any of the current GSC detachment, let alone Host of Ascension. And the it might be better than it'll be better than Brood Brothers. I'd take this over Brood Brothers any day of the week. So this is better than Brood Brothers. That's about all I can say there. But other than that, you know, this is fun. It's a fun detachment. So unfortunately, this is not going to help GSC from what happened to them, but if you're a GSC player, you're probably a Tyranid player, so you probably have some Tyranid models, and you probably have things like some staples like the Winged Hive Tyrant, like Lictors, like Death Leaper, that kind of thing. So you'll be able to have fun and play with this. But I think that's as much as this is going to do for you. So, like I said, I need a speed run. I'm running a little behind, so thank you very much if you watched. This has been Divine Erdrick. I'm not exiled yet, though I probably will be